Ryan adjusted his cufflinks for the third time, glancing at his reflection in the restaurant window. It had been years since his last real date. His friends had practically begged him to try again, setting him up on this so-called blind date. He sighed, thinking it would be another awkward dinner filled with small talk and polite laughter. The dim lights and the soft jazz made everything feel forcedly romantic, like a stage waiting for a play he didn't want to perform. When the hostess finally led a woman toward his table, he rose politely, then froze. She had the kind of presence that silenced a room without saying a word. Her hair cascaded in soft waves, her eyes carrying a strange familiarity that tugged at his chest. He couldn't place it, but something about her face stirred an echo of a memory. "Hi," she said softly, slipping into the seat opposite him. "You don't remember me, do you?" The words hit him harder than he expected. He blinked, completely thrown off guard. "I'm sorry. Should I?" he asked hesitantly, forcing a nervous smile as his mind raced. She tilted her head, her expression unreadable, half smiling yet carrying a trace of sadness. "You really don't," she whispered, stirring her coffee without looking up. Ryan leaned forward slightly, studying her eyes. There was pain there. Old pain, layered beneath the calm surface she tried to keep. "Maybe you could give me a hint," he asked. She let out a quiet, almost bitter laugh. "A hint? You once promised you'd never forget me." The words twisted something inside him. He searched her face again, still nothing clear, only fragments of some long-lost emotion. "Was it college?" he guessed weakly. "High school?" Her gaze lifted, steady now, sharp enough to make him swallow hard. "It was the night your car hit the bridge railing," she said softly. His blood ran cold. That night, he had never spoken about it to anyone except the police and his therapist. The night that changed everything. The restaurant noise faded around him. His fingers trembled slightly against the table. "That night," he began, his voice cracking. "There was a girl. I tried to save her." She nodded slowly. "You did save me." His breath caught. His heart slammed against his ribs as memories came rushing back. Screeching tires, broken glass, and a young woman trapped beside him crying for help. He had dragged her out just before the car went up in flames, but he never saw her again. She'd vanished while he was in the hospital. "You were her?" he whispered, disbelief in his tone. "But they told me you didn't make it." She smiled faintly, tears glimmering at the edge of her lashes. "Everyone thought that. I was in a coma for 6 months. When I woke up, you were gone." Ryan's chest ached as he tried to process it. The girl he'd thought he lost forever was sitting across from him, flesh and blood, with eyes that carried both gratitude and something unspoken. "Why didn't you try to find me?" he finally asked. Her gaze lowered to her hands, twisting a napkin. "I did," she said. "I came to the hospital, but your records were sealed. The nurse said you checked yourself out. I assumed you wanted to forget the accident, and me." The guilt hit him like a punch. He remembered those days, the sleepless nights, the therapy sessions, the shame of thinking he'd caused it all. He'd wanted to disappear, to erase the pain. "I thought you were gone," he murmured, "and I blamed myself every single day." She looked up then, and her voice softened. "So did I." They sat in silence, both caught in the storm of what could have been and what was lost. The waiter approached to take their order, but neither could speak. Finally, she broke the silence. "When I saw your name on that dating app, I thought it was some cruel joke. I almost didn't show up." Ryan's lips twitched into a faint smile. "Fate doesn't joke much," he said. "It just waits." She smiled faintly back, though her eyes glistened. "You haven't changed much," she whispered, still trying to make sense of things that never had answers. Ryan chuckled softly, though his chest felt tight. "And you, still as mysterious as that night." For a moment, the tension eased. They shared quiet laughter, realizing that maybe after all those lost years, they were finally sitting where they were meant to be. "Do you ever think about that night?" she asked suddenly, her voice trembling slightly. Ryan nodded. Every day. The sound of the crash, your scream. It still wakes me up sometimes. She looked down, and he noticed her hand subtly touch the faint scar along her wrist. I used to hate that memory, she said. But then I realized it gave me a second chance. It gave us one. His heart pounded at her words. He'd spent so long punishing himself, never realizing she might have been searching for him too. I thought I'd lost everything that night, he said. But maybe I was just being prepared to find something real. Her eyes softened, a small smile curving her lips. You really don't remember what you told me right before you passed out, do you? He shook his head slowly. She leaned in, voice barely above a whisper. You said, if we ever meet again, I'll make it right. The words stunned him. He remembered flashes of it now, the sirens, her trembling hand clutching his desperate promise whispered through pain and fear. I said that? He asked, barely breathing. You did, she said, smiling through tears. And here we are. The air between them grew heavy, filled with something that felt like destiny itself, long delayed but not denied. Maybe it's time I keep that promise, Ryan said softly. Maybe it's time we start over. She hesitated, her eyes flickering with both hope and fear. You don't owe me anything, she said. You already saved my life. He reached across the table, his hand covering hers gently. Maybe I was meant to save more than just your life, he said. Maybe I was meant to save your heart too. She blinked rapidly, her composure breaking for the first time. You don't even know who I've become, she whispered. I'm not the same girl from that night. He smiled gently. Neither am I, but maybe that's the point. She laughed softly through her tears. You really believe in fate, don't you? Not until now, he admitted. But tell me something. If this isn't fate, then why do I feel like I've been waiting my whole life to sit here with you? Her silence said everything. Outside, the city lights flickered against the glass, and for the first time in years, Ryan felt peace. He wasn't haunted anymore. He was found. As the night deepened, they talked about everything. The years lost, the lives rebuilt, the pain and the healing. She told him how she'd learned to walk again, how she'd painted sunsets in the rehab ward just to remember hope. He told her how he'd left engineering to work in trauma recovery, trying to help others heal the way he couldn't heal himself. Their stories intertwined, each sentence another thread sewing two broken lives together. When the waiter brought the bill, neither wanted to leave. The restaurant was closing, but they lingered as if afraid that stepping outside might break the fragile magic holding them. Finally she stood, looking at him with that same faint, almost wistful smile. So, she said, brushing her hair behind her ear, was it worth remembering me? Ryan rose too, his eyes warm and steady. How could I ever forget you again? He said. Outside, the night air was cool, carrying the scent of rain. They walked side by side into the dark, not as strangers or victims of fate, but as two souls who'd found their way back through fire and memory. And as the first drops began to fall, she slipped her hand into his. Not because she needed saving, but because, after all this time, she finally remembered how it felt to be held by the man who once promised he'd make it right. A week passed, but for Ryan, it felt like the world had shifted on its axis. Every morning he'd wake up replaying her smile, that soft look she gave him when she whispered, You really don't remember me, do you? They had started meeting. Every evening, coffee shops, long walks by the river, moments that felt too perfect to belong to ordinary life. Yet beneath every shared laugh, there was something fragile, a sense that both were afraid of the past returning. One evening, as they sat by the old bridge where the accident happened, silence hung between them. The air smelled faintly of rain and iron, the same scent from that fateful night. Do you ever wonder why we both survived? She asked quietly. Ryan's hand tightened around hers. Maybe we didn't survive, he said. Maybe we were reborn. She looked at him with wet eyes and whispered, Then why does it still hurt so much to remember? Her question lingered in the air like smoke. Ryan turned toward the dark water, watching the reflection of streetlights ripple with each passing car. "Because we both left something behind that night," he said softly. "Parts of ourselves burned away in that fire." She shivered slightly, and he draped his jacket over her shoulders. "I used to hate bridges," she murmured. "Every time I crossed one, I'd feel my pulse race, like my body remembered what my mind tried to forget." He looked at her tenderly. "And yet, you came here with me tonight." She nodded slowly, tears glistening. "Because if I can stand here and not fall apart, maybe that means I'm ready to move on." He smiled faintly. "You're stronger than you think." She turned to him then, eyes deep and searching. "Then promise me, Ryan, if I ever start to fall apart again, you won't walk away this time." His answer was immediate. Never again. But life, as always, had its cruel way of testing promises. 2 days later, he received a call from her.